Hello there, my name's Nick. I've got a Volvo XC60. I do not work for Volvotech.eu, but what I'm going to try and do today is use one of their kits to install a reversing camera and a front camera on my car. Now, they provide comprehensive instructions, but it is still scary stuff. I'm not a mechanic, I don't have any particular technical expertise, but I am a keen DIYer, and I wouldn't mind saving the 300 quid plus it will cost me to do this. So you can see how I get on today and decide whether you want to have a go yourself. So I've got all my tools set out for the day. I've printed off the instructions. You get two instruction books. I've got a 2014 model XC60, so I needed the VBB-8 unit. This is what you get from Volvotech. It's a scary box of wires basically. So I've got the reverse camera there. I've got a front camera. We're going to start with the reverse camera because apparently that's the easiest one. You get this control unit, which, yeah, I mean, it looks like a proper bit of Volvo kit. These guys are incredible. I was quoted £1,600 for a reverse camera only to have it fitted after factory by Volvo. This kit was £350 and it integrates with the Sensus Connect system. You can see there's lots of leads in here. They're not as scary as they look. I've been through them. 90% of what's in this box are just extensions for the cameras to make sure you've got enough wire. What is going to be scary is pulling all the panels off my lovely shiny Volvo, but you're going to get to see how I do it, and if I go wrong I can watch the video back and find out where I went wrong. So let's get started. Okay, so the first step, ignition off, remove key from car, do not put the ignition back on or put the key into the car before all connectors are back in place. Put the handbrake on. Right, well, check, done that. Remove panel and remove connector. This is the first step. So I've got to literally, oh, this is painful. Come on. It doesn't say that there's any particular point on here. Oh, here we go. Oof. Those sounds are terrifying. But at the end of the day, there she is. There we go, my God, look at that. So remove this away, remove this plug, it says, a little green plug there, so that's our first panel removed. I'm just going to stick that on the back seat in the order that I take things apart. That's come off. I think that will just click back in. Right, okay, so now I've exposed the screen. Next stage, I've now got to remove this section here. Push the purple lock towards the outside to unlock the panel. First left then right. Okay, so step two, bit of a complication. You have to get a screwdriver in here, and there's a little tab just on the back. And what isn't very clear is it said push left then right. I presume it meant the left side, but it's not. There are two tabs. So you can see the screwdriver's going into that tab, but then you've got this second tab here. So you push this one, push that one, and then it pops out, look. But then if I let go of that, I never thought this would be easy. Here we go. There we go. Now that's out, nothing's broken. That's that section out. So the next section, it says remove the 4 Torx screws in the front and the 2 Torx screws in the back. Note that the 2 screws on the back of the panel might be removed best with a Torx bit generally found inside a socket. So that's this, but these ones seem, yeah, it's definitely that one. So there's this one. Got another one of those now. Note that it's the screws at the top and you've got threaded bolts at the bottom. Okay. See, I'm worried that it's in there he meant that we removed, but it's not. It's clearly shown. Ah, 1, 2, 3, 4 there, and then we've got others around the back. So it says that it's quite hard to obviously get in behind the this dash panel with a full length Torx screwdriver. So I've just removed that and I've made up this little tool just with bits that I've got in my toolkit, which will give me a little screwdriver, if you like, that I can get in here with. I'll show you where these screws are. They're not accessible easily. So we've got one here. I'm almost doing this blind, it is very hard. Oh, this is the perfect tool though. There we go. I'm always conscious the whole time not to scratch the plastics or any of my interior. There we go. Okay, so the next section is to remove this panel on both sides of the console. So again, this is provided by Volvotech, by the way, this little tool. And it does just give you a way of getting behind the panel. There we go. Come on. Now, do they show in the instructions? No, they say to pull it down. There you go. Another panel removed. Got to do the same the other side. Now I'm very conscious that this is one of those easy pop-off, maybe not so easy to put back jobs. Yeah, actually the other side came off much easier than this. What this tool enables you to do is feel where the thing's connected. One thing I have read is you've just got to be quite sharp with it. If you kind of push like this, or pull, you can snap these plastic connectors. So you've got to be quite firm with it. So what I've done is I'm laying across the hedge. I'm going to start laying the panels in chronological order as I've taken them off. The driver and the passenger look quite similar, so I've literally just with a Sharpie marked driver on one, passenger on the other, so when it comes to putting this thing back together, it won't be so daunting. Now this is one of those moments where it's a little bit scary. Remove the side panel both sides, we've done that. Fold the carpet back a bit, remove the clips with harness from the chassis. There's one there, so I can disconnect that. That's done. The other side there's one as well. So there's another one there, just going to disconnect that. So that's two connectors. So I'm going to remove this clip here. Again, I'm just using the Volvotech clip, and that comes off. Just to show you the other side, exactly symmetrically, you've got a similar clip and a very similar harness that has to disconnect. So there they are, that's all done. So now it says to remove this cover, which using this tool, again, can be removed without any damage whatsoever. The next thing is we have to release the gear stick from park to drive. Now I've found you can either stick a tool down through the top here, or it's easier just to put your finger in, pull that down, and now I've pulled that all the way back into drive. Okay, I have an automatic, so I can skip the section here on removing the gear stick if you have a manual. So with an automatic, the next step is to apply tape. I recommend this 3M blue tape is really good because it peels off without leaving any stickiness behind. And I think it's safe to assume we're going to be levering up at this point, so I'm going to put two strips of tape either side to really protect it. There we go. Now using our trusty Volvotech tool again, I'm going in here, or at least I hope I am. There we go. And now I should. There we go, that is just prising up either side. Oh yes. You can feel that's beginning to lift. And then it says lift up and pull out. Oh, there she is. There we go. Right, there's a wire there, so I've got to detach that. Oh my goodness. Oh no, there's not. That is the... That's why we disconnected that wiring loom. Look, it comes up. There's my dashboard. Oh, this is getting scary. Okay, next we're removing the two Torx screws, from this head unit. Okay, so we're at the top of page 7 of 16 of the current manual, and it says to cover the gear stick or the gear shift lever pin. A little bit lost in translation there, but I'm not going to complain. These guys are brilliant. And now I'm going to pull this out, which kind of just wobbling it out very gently with my fingers. Everything with this, apart from panel removal, I'm just going super gentle. Oh, there we go. And there it is. My goodness me, look at all of that stuff. I'm just going to take a record of the details on the back of this unit. Now at this stage, the natural thing to do would be to disconnect that, as we have, connect it into this replacement loom, and connect the replacement loom there, so it's in series, just in line, put it all back together and you'd be done. Well, actually, it's more complex like that than that, and I discovered this by actually putting it together myself and missing this phase, so it's very important. In the back of the original Volvo connector, this unit, I don't know what you would describe it as, you've got 2 fibre optic cables, you've got a bank of cables connected with a black connector, and a bank with a white connector. I don't know whether that changes colour year to year, and you've got this brown set. Now, when you compare these two, look, half of these are missing, so you need to transfer. I can look very clearly there. We need to transfer the fibre optics into these 2 holes, the black into there and the white into there, and that's what I'm going to do now. So the first one, let's do the fibre optics. God knows what would happen if I got this wrong. These can't be cheap. It's pretty cool to think that they use fibre optics. So there's that connector. The next one's this black one at the back. Out it comes. And then this white one. They're actually very simple to remove, but very easily missed. Why did I say simple to remove? Now look, I've got it all caught up. Okay, let's try the white one again. There we go. So there. So now, with the replacement loom, which is going to go in there, I've got to literally make sure that it is perfect matched. So fibre optics go in there. Well, you can see I'm just transferring them across. There we go. I won't lie to you, this is a very fiddly phase, but I've got my fibre optics back where they should be in the replacement loom. Everything's locked, black, white as before, and this one here, which is very tight, but it's workable. Obviously this one, well now, because I've only got those metal plugs in there, so this now connects in here. Lift up the basket handle. Yeah, this is the fiddliest bit so far by a long mile. I know this probably isn't illustrating it as well as you'd hope, but there we go, basket clips down, and that is now locked in place, so that's that bit done. Now this has got to go into the back of the head unit. Again, basket up to start. Oh, there's the basket. Oh my goodness me, this is tight. And in it goes. You've really got to push that down. I mean, normally things go smoothly, but that basket, obviously it's an aftermarket one, it's not the original Volvo, and it just is a bit tighter than the normal one. But that's all in there now. And now for the next phase, which is going to be connecting the box up. So also coming out of that same loom, we have this tiny 4-pin connector with the brown, blue, red and grey wires. That plugs into this Sensus. Oh, I hope it does anyway. No, wrong way round. Classic. There we go. That goes into the CAN bus interface, which is there. Just making sure that's a good connection, making sure all these connections are very well and comfortably seated. Now at this stage we're going to connect to the VBB-8 unit. Sounds like something out of the new Star Wars. I've actually labelled up these connectors just because I wanted to read through the manual first, and I'm not a professional, so I wanted to make it as easy as possible. So there we go. I don't think it would go in anywhere else, but that one goes into there. And this is obviously for the reversing camera. This one, I've actually labelled it, but we've now got to plug in this interface here, it says, which goes in here. You can see I've labelled them orange to orange. You cannot put it in any other place, but again, I've just labelled it up before I started. So there we go. Red is to reversing camera, so I've labelled that up, red for reversing camera, and that connects directly, the red to the yellow there connects directly with everything that they've that they've given us. You can see I've actually labelled, so I know I get that absolutely right. Just to be absolute belt and braces, as they say on the safe side, I'm putting tape, a tight ring of tape around all of these connections, just in case, you know, God forbid there was ever dampness, or if I ended up yanking a cable too hard, this will just ensure, there you go, it's falling apart all over the place, this will just ensure that that's absolutely locked down and that is not going to come apart. It doesn't say to do this, but I think it's probably worth it. The next one I'm going to connect is the LVDS output. I'm going to connect it up here. Again, just making sure that's a really good connection. On the back of the radio unit itself, you can see there's only really, it's the blue one. Out it comes. In it goes. Oh, and then to complete that, in with this one. Again, just giving each connection a good old wobble to check that we're safe. Perfect. Okay, so reversing camera, which is coming out of the red RCA connector there, and is also coming out of this little join that goes into the back of the VBB-8 metal unit, which is also connected to this CAN bus interface. I'm just going to line these up and make sure there's a good connection. I'm not going to tape that yet, because obviously I'm going to extend this camera. This is really just to test it at this stage. So I've just spoken to Volvotech just to find out where to mount this, and they basically said wherever you'd like. You can put it behind the screen, you can put it behind the carpet panels, but obviously I'm conscious that carpet panels get kicked and knocked, and I want to make sure those panels go back on safe. So after much research, this is where I think, much research, playing around and lifting back panels, this is where I'm going to put it. I'm going to show you, and the reason is you've got menu settings here. So you've got a menu up and down button there, so I'm going to label those independently, and if you peel back the carpet here, there is a little gap just there, and the box, the box sits in there beautifully. Let me just grab the camera and show you from my angle. Whoop. You can see the box sits in there really quite comfortably. It's an easy panel to pop off if you need to make menu adjustments, or if you want to add a DVB tuner or something to your extra video output. It's not going to interfere with the proper connection of that trim panel when it goes back on. Easily accessible. I'm going to put probably something around it just to pad it in so it doesn't roll around, but you can see that's already very tightly held in with the foam on the back of this carpet, and it's right up against the chassis, the gearbox tunnel there, so it's not going to overheat, it's not going to give us any issues there. It will experience vibration there, so again, I think a bit of foam either side will just help just settle it in. But that's a good spot. I'm now going to run all of these wires, all of this loom, there's plenty there down to that corner, and also the rubber switch which enables me to switch the video input, so that's the next phase. Now what I've got are all the wires now running down from the back of that radio head unit, and just to be absolutely safe I'm running some electrical tape. Again, this is not in the manual, but it's just common sense to me that you would do this, because the last thing you want are stray wires hanging around at the back of that unit, rubbing as you drive along against screw fixings, etc. So all the way along here, I hope I don't regret this earlier and find I need to really separate these cables, but I think at this stage that just makes sense, just to keep things neat and tidy. You've got an inline fuse there, which obviously I've left exposed. But now we're ready to connect back up to that box, and the box will be accessible, which is the most important thing at this stage. So the next challenge was to connect to this little rubber momentary contact switch. Now, I'm not keen on like kind of third-party switches over my dashboard, so I found quite a good place here. You can run that 4-point connector. Actually, it's 4-point, but there's only 2 connections. From the, you can literally lift this forward here, run that wire through, which will then reach our mounting point, and you can then have it in one of 2 locations. You can have it mounted there. I'm not going to stick it till the dash is back together, or you can mount it quite discreetly there, so it's totally out of vision. Very easy to reach from the driving position though. So that's where I'm going to put my switch. I need just this now to run down, and of course I've done that wiring loom. This wire won't be in the wiring loom, typical. So I'm going to redo that all the way down to our mounting position for the VBB-8 unit. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is start to connect up. We've got the wiring loom down. I've connected that rubberized switch, which goes in the side here. That's also been added to this loom with some more tape. Should have done that last time. And now what I'm going to do is I've got my video inputs here. This is the one we taped before. This is the one that's going to the reversing camera. So that's now ready to be connected and run all the way back to the tailgate. We've got 2 other video inputs here. We've got an auxiliary AV in, and we've also got the front camera. So effectively, red is your reverse camera, white is going to be my front camera, or AV1 in a different installation, and yellow would be AV2, or for me, my auxiliary AV. So what I'm going to do is also connect the audio for those feeds, which simply go in. There you go, I was about to put it in there. Good job I did my little coloured numbering system before this. There we go, that's a firm click, so that's in. And I'm going to label these up. They're already labelled, but I've got my little label printer here, and I'm going to run separate RCAs just so they're gathered up here in this little recess. So if I want to add or adjust anything, I can just pop off this single panel without having to remove anything else, and I can get to those leads, add a DVB tuner, a DVD player, a media player, anything else in the future. No plan for that today. It's just nice to have the option as we've got the kit. So again, just probably going over the top here, but I like to label any loose wires that are left dangling around the car. So I find if you print it twice over, you end up with a label that you can fold back on itself around the wire, which obviously just does a neater job. Perfect. So all I'm doing now is connecting the audio. So I've got this AV3 input, so I've got AV1 is reversing camera, AV2 front camera, AV3 is obviously just that AV3, an input that can be switched with that little rubber switch on the dashboard, or by pressing and holding the nav button, I'm told. And then you can switch between those sources, which gives me the option. I'm just going to hide these away. I've labelled them up, AV3 input. So these will be just tucked in that little recess, easily accessible if I want to connect something, and that'll be a DVD player, a digital video tuner, or maybe a media player for the kids. I doubt I'll ever use it, but I had this RCA laying around, so why not? Let's connect it up. So last thing I've done, I've connected those AV3s. I've literally just put some tape and plastic over the end of those, just a carrier bag ripped up, purely because I don't want that arcing against the chassis or causing any issues. It wouldn't cause a major problem, but it's just, again, an extra safety precaution, and that's going to sit in that little gap there. So I just want to make sure it can't touch anything. Now we're going to fit this in this little gap, and I've got some tape which I'm going to show you now that's going to help pad this and keep it safe. So I've cut 4 lengths of draft excluder for my front door. It's just something I had in the garage, but that's like a memory foam, so it's going to be perfect. I've cut lengths that will fit along here, and I can put those in, so when it goes in against that chassis, it's going to be well padded, it's not going to move around, and it's going to be protected from any vibrations. Okay, so now I've covered up some of the stuff here, but it doesn't matter. what does matter is that that will seat in the hole now nice and comfortably. I've also used my menu, my label printer, sorry, to create menu up and down on the back here, because it's not labelled on the back, so it's not, as it's going to be mounted that way because of the way the wires are, and obviously I want accessibility to those switches, it's worth doing that. So here we go. It's in position. I'm not going to lie to you, it takes about 10 minutes of fiddling around to find a space for everything. There's my AV2. It looks messy with these things on the end, but I just don't want this to touch anything. And this actually fits, even with a whole spool of wire on it, very comfortably in there. So at any time I want to add anything, you can see this carpet's all nice and baggy around here. I haven't interfered here. None of the wires are tight, they're all loose. And most importantly this, I added a strip of that stuff at the top. It's firmly held in there. It's padded both sides. I've got my menu up and down available, so I can make adjustments to the system. And yeah, it's all good. Actually, I'm going to put another wrap on there in case that touches that. I don't know whether that could have an effect. I doubt it will. But again, it's just really for my peace of mind that I know everything's absolutely 100%. Okay, so a slight complication here. You see the box, I've mounted it there, I've just shown you. The reason I've mounted it there is because I need space for this unit, the CAN bus unit. And I don't want to stretch any wires, so I found that that sat quite comfortably in this little gap here. So that's there, and that's all great. The problem I've got now is this is AV2, my front camera input. Now my front camera input is just one of the mini cans that they sell. So that's very simple. I can connect that there. You can see I've previously labelled it. I tell you, it's worth labelling them. I know triangle to triangle. I know I'm not making a mistake there. I'll get some tape around that and make that a permanent connection. But what I need to do is find a positive at this stage, because that positive runs all the way down this extension, and then at the other end I can connect that directly to this positive, which then in turn take a negative obviously from the vehicle at any point of the chassis, and then I can switch to this front camera bus, which is the same extension needs to the reverse camera. So ideally at this stage I either need to fit a switch so I can isolate that front camera, or I need to find power which is switched with the ignition. Now when I look at this CAN bus interview here, I've got various battery, ground, CAN plus, CAN minus, infrared out, reverse, ACC out, battery and ground. I think the ACC out will be my switched ignition power, but I can't be absolutely sure. So what I'm going to do at this stage, I'm going to leave this panel off. I've got everything connected that I need to connect. I'm going to put back the whole of the dashboard, power the system up, and measure where I can get power to run that front camera, and also it'll give me a chance to do some basic checks on the reversing camera as well. So next video you'll see is putting all this back together. So I've got the manual from before that I can refer to, but I know for a start all of these wires, making sure that this one stays separate. That's the hazard light on the fan. I'm just going to stick that out of the way. We've got to tuck them in this void behind where the radio unit goes, and slide the radio unit back into position. I hope this all works when I turn it on. So far it's gone pretty smoothly, nothing scary's happened yet. Shouldn't speak too soon. Right, I'm now ready for those two screws, the two Torx screws that hold in that radio unit. So that's the second screw going in. Those are threaded bolts that hold in the main radio unit. The next bit is putting back in this huge section here, which I've been keeping on the back seat. And the first thing we need to do is thread this wire back down through there. So that's ready to be connected to the interface on that side. Just check there's no other connections on the back here. No. And it is there we go, you can see there's a little lug at the top there where that sits in. This needs to be free, make sure that we've got nothing in the way. There we go. So we can now remove these bits of blue tape as well. So next stage of putting it back together, you've got these two screws. These aren't bolts, they are screws, and you can see where these go because there is a little mark, a little washer mark, so it's easy to remember that the ones with the washers built in pop in the two top spots. The next ones we're going to do are the tricky ones. Do you remember I made up that funny little tool because they go in round the back here? So again, there they are. This is the crazy tool I made. I'm just going to take that Torx bit out of that screwdriver, pop it in there, and now I can get to this tiny little gap behind. So there it is. Next is this little thing here, because if you remember rightly, I found an easy way of doing that, so you don't actually need to remove that. So again, I'm just going to pull down on that yellow catch, and now it'll enable me to move the gearbox back into park. Don't need to take that out. If you take that out, you get an access hatch that will allow you to do the same thing. This is the second of the threaded bolts. These are the really long black ones. Next, this is a very delicate bit of plastic. It looks like lovely brushed aluminium, but it is plastic. But that should just pop in. Now this may happen to you. When I took out my fascia that goes around the screen, the air vents beneath popped off, but you can actually see how they attach. And I would suggest you do this prior to trying to put this section back in. They clip in very easily. Next thing is this little green wire. That just clips into there. That's your hazard light connection. There we go. And this, very simply, let me just check those lugs at the top. I think this is a straight pushback. There we go. The dashboard is rebuilt. Now just to check connections, and then we'll power up for the first time. So in my set, I've got the front mini camera. Bit of a mess here. That's for the front of the car. That will connect. That will connect here. But of course, this won't work until it has positive power. So I'm going to connect it anyway, and I'm going to connect the reverse camera, which should have switched power on reverse. And we're going to now fire it up, and hopefully there won't be any sparks or fires. Now the front camera requires a 12 volt positive feed, and of course a negative, which I can take from the chassis. That's easy. So what I'm trying to do is find a positive feed that's only active when the ignition is on, which is when you'd need it for front parking. Now I believe through looking at the diagram here that this red wire is indeed an accessory wire. So I'm just going to use one of these connectors to connect into a fresh positive supply. That means it will only be active while the ignition is on, or I have the option of adding another switch so you can manually switch on and off the camera. Now the only reason I say that is because I've spoken to the guys in the Netherlands at Volvotech, and they basically say that the camera is not designed to be left on for long periods of time. They also said that the security cameras in their workshops are these mini cams, and they're on 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, but it should be switched. So it means another switch. I think I'm going to see how I get on, and I have the option of installing another switch at another time just by running enough cable and putting it somewhere easily accessible, perhaps just behind this easy clip-off panel. So I'm going to connect this in now. If you've used these before, I'm sure you have. That side, the outer side, is the continuous side. This side you put in your fresh cable, and then you simply pinch. That sinks through the cables, should make a connection. There you go, that's locked in, that's locked in. Now I'm just going to test that to make sure it's absolutely sure. Okay, so if you can see that voltmeter, you can see I've tested that. At the moment I'm getting nothing, or very low reading. You put the ignition in, straight up to 12 volts. So that, you take the key out again, and it will drop down again. So that is switched accessory power, which is what I was after. Okay, so we've got the box nicely settled in there. We've got the menu system nicely available if you need to, just by popping off this panel. And what we've done is we're going to connect up the reversing camera and the front camera. I'm labelling everything because this is quite a complex install. And we're now going to test the system. You'll also notice here, if you bring the camera down, I fitted an isolation switch. I just thought, well, I'll stick it there. If I've got a long journey, I can flick it off. If it's on, the orange light will come on. And obviously, as I showed earlier, that's powered from the accessory ignition. So it'll only come on if the ignition's on. Just above that is where I've mounted my rubber button. So actually, when you're in the driving position or from any seat in the car, you don't see either of these switches. They're very discreet. For safety's sake, I'm going to leave these panels off, etc. at the moment, just in case we do need to fiddle around with anything more. Before I'm switching this on, what I am making sure is that both of these big connectors on the gear tunnel are reconnected, because not a lot's going to happen unless they're connected, and I wouldn't want to try and start the system without them connected. So you've got one of those either side. Okay, foot on the brake, going for a full start up. Okay, so far so good. Come on, why does it feel like forever? Oh, it does feel like forever. Let's press the nav button. Navigation starting up, okay. So we're there, right, okay, so there's two ways of doing this. First of all, I can just go into reverse. Look at that. Complete with steering wheel lines. So that's working perfectly. If I go back into park, I can use either by press and holding the nav on the dashboard, I can switch to my second camera, which is this one, which at the moment, oh, there's the cameraman, which at the moment is just obviously loose, and you can see down there, there's the reverse camera just loose. So that's working. I can also use the little switch that I showed you earlier, the rubberized switch here, and if I press and hold that, that will take me to AV3. I have nothing plugged into it at the moment. Press and hold again, and I'm back to my normal Sensus navigation. That's working. Now I can get the extension leads in and run these cameras to where they need to be. So just starting the two screws, the torque screws at the top. Now I've got these ones to do in the centre, two here, and then don't forget those two fiddly ones right round the back of this centre dash panel. So now we're into fitting the cameras. Now I spent 20 quid on 3 different tools from Amazon. This one, these are trim removing tools. This one by Draper Tools, which is a door trim remover. And this one, which I think is really cool, you can slip it under things, press it, and it will actually get rid of, pop things up. So hopefully they'll help us out. If not, this is what we got from Volvotech. It might be all we need. So we start here. It says to remove by pushing down. Oh, pushing down. Oh, there we go. And lift out. Well, that was easy. Okay, next we have to remove this panel, but that ain't coming easily. There's a tag behind it, which I can push down. I tell you, these tools are coming into their own now. Oh, he says. That one's out. Oh my goodness me. That is not an easy one to get out. It just shows in the picture pulling it along, but if I do that, that's going to break. Here we go. I don't personally see how you do that without one of these. These tags have to be pushed down to pull that across. And if you just yanked it, they would snap. Next we're at the side of the door. This is passenger side. Obviously you might have to flip a lot of these instructions if you're got a left-hand drive. And then this just lifts down to that point. What does it say to do next? pull outwards. That isn't overly clear. Let's get the old magic pliers in. Oh yeah, you can see where it connects. Oh, I think the whole lot's got to come off. So let's take the screw off the other side as well. Oh, that's going to go. Can you hold that for me? There we go. Next, remove the lock cover. You can get your fingers underneath each side and just pull that down. That's got two little hooks on the inside, so be quite careful with it. Next, we've got another 2 Torx screws. This is great, there's only 1 Torx size for everything so far for this little cover here. Next, if you've got one of these cool buttons, you need to take that out just with the old and I'm just going to disconnect that. Next, we've got to remove this little light. This is quite brittle see-through plastic, so yeah, oh, there we go. It's not as bad as you'd think. Oh, it's a little LED in it. Oh dear, didn't want to do that. Come back. Ah! Removing cover panel. You have to pull firmly, it says. Well, I haven't broken any clips, so that's kind of how far you need to go. And it says to squeeze the middle one. Oh yeah, it's dangling only by the middle one now. So I've got to get some long nose pliers in there to squeeze that one out, I think. Oh yeah, that is not... Oh, hang on. Let's get this one back in. My God. That's one in. 2 in. Now, oh dear, one popping in after the other. You can't see. There we go. That was quite tricky. Some of them you'll get left. If you don't quite get them out right, they get left behind. So that's when this thing, hopefully, will come into its own. So a slightly smaller Torx needed for this. And it just says to remove screws and drop this panel. Now, 2 of the screws are clearly connecting the lights, and 4 of the screws are connecting the lights, 2 lights, 2 screws each. You've got this middle one which holds the rubber. So yes, this little rubber cover for the power tailgate button, if you have that option. We've then just got the light fitting screws to come out. So this is quite interesting. I've removed the rear number plate light on the driver's side because the camera I've got is a direct replacement for that light fitting. And when you look at that, the bulb comes out and the light fitting on the back of this camera is identical. So all I need to do is remove this grommet, pop it onto this one, remove these metal pegs, pop it onto this one, and then I can install the camera. So here we go, this is the grommet being transferred. I tell you, you never expect these things to be entirely kind of like Lego instructions, but it hasn't been too bad so far. So that grommet fits perfectly, so this is literally just like an OEM part, and I'm now going to fit those little springs. Easier said than done, they're well in there. Oh dear, oh there's one, it's like pulling teeth. Strangely it doesn't come with a pair fitted really. Now the bulb will sit in there just like in the old light fitting. We just have a replacement light fitting, the difference being this one's a camera and only half the light comes out, but something's better than nothing, I guess. In retrospect, I should maybe have just ordered the one that fits onto this mounting plate here, But if I'd done that, to be honest, I don't know how you'll pull this out. I tried to get the white blade around the edge, and this is stuck with something, because it has to be impervious to weather, so there might be a sealant or something there. This way is very quick and easy. Right, now I need to drill a hole in this fitting to get the camera connection through, and I've had a look behind here, and we're best drilling top right hand corner. There we go. Now just going to thread that camera connector through. Hopefully pull it through from the other side. There we go. And now the camera. I hope that light doesn't get too hot. Okay, so just notice putting that in, you've got a plastic wire there right up against a bulb. I suppose you could remove the bulb from that side and be done with it. But I've got some aluminium foil tape here, which will just create a barrier, which will stop that from melting, hopefully. If it melts, then we'll know about it, and I'll just have to fit the other light back and fit the other type of rear view camera. But I think this will, especially if you kind of crumple it up around it, so it will create a natural bit of distance between the wire and the bulb. Doesn't look very pretty, but you won't see it. Like that. So that's camera in place, foil tape over wire, just as a safety precaution. I'm sure the wire is tested to certain heat, but I just think it's just not worth it for the sake of a bit of tin foil. So I've got the grommet from the original number plate light there. You can see as you tighten that up, you won't see it on the camera, but the grommet goes kind of glossy, so you know you're getting a good seal there without over tightening it. Perfect. So in retrospect, yeah, you can choose which side you want to stick the camera if you're using a number plate mount, but ultimately I didn't need to take off the middle cover for the power boot switch, and I certainly didn't need to take off the cover for the number plate light that I didn't replace. But hey, I'm learning. The next bit, we're going to remove these rubbers. There's like a little raised section on each side. That's the section that you push, get your little white tool underneath, and it will just pop off. You want to do that on both sides. And that's to reveal this, which is where you're going to run your camera cable to get it into the car. It's at this point you're left to your own devices slightly. This came in the box, this stuff here, which I presume is for when you're running the cables through metal parts of the car. It's really easy stuff to use. You just thread it through, and if you squash it you can get much bigger wires through it, but it holds quite comfortably. And obviously you can therefore run wires through car, and there's no danger of that wire rubbing against the chassis and cutting. Okay, along with running these, I'm using some Scarpa tape, which if you know Scarpa tape, it literally sticks to anything and doesn't damage stuff. So I'm just popping that to help run these wires, because of course this will all be behind the panels. So it's the perfect place to run all this stuff. So you can see I've taped all the way around here. I've made the first connection to one of the many extensions they provided here. I'm taping all of my connections on the extension just to be absolutely safe and sound, using the Scarpa tape all the way through, again using a channel guide. And then it was quite tricky getting it out the bottom here, and you can see I've got a bit of bent wire here. And that's because this gland between the boot and the body of the car is very, very tight already. So I'm hoping, I mean, you might have a proper bit of kit for this, but I'm no mechanic, so what I've got is what I've got, and that is a bit of gardening wire. and I'm being very careful not to damage the numerous cables in this gland. Oh my goodness, that is not going through smoothly, and I ain't pulling too hard, I tell you, because there's a lot of stuff going on in there. There she is. Okay, so now let's start putting the panels back on. Oh, is that one? By the way, there is a loose wire that just dangles down, and I've spent 20 minutes trying to work out where it was connected. Remember the little green wire I said did nothing? Yeah, it's for the boot button, isn't it? Totally forgot. So yeah, hopefully saved you 20 minutes there wondering where it came from. Boot button. So this is from the inside of the boot. I'm laid on my back in the boot, and you can see we're coming in through there, which is the rubber gland above. I'm following it along here. I just popped this cable out of these clips and I popped the wire behind it so it follows along in this wiring loom. Now we're at this stage. I'm about to bring it down here. This panel removes incredibly easily. It just pops off from the top, just lift that off. So you can run it into this space and then we can move our way towards the back seats. So now running behind here, you can just see here this protective sleeving gets a bit spiky around here. This is a sharp clip, and it's quite kind of spiky and sharp there, so I ran that all the way through. I've just pulled this panel enough away, not too far. I haven't gone as far as unbolting these or anything like that. I've just literally pulled that away. That just clips away, which has enabled me to run the wire to this section. Now you'll see I've removed a panel there. I'll pop that back in place so you can see exactly what I've done. So we've got the cable, just again a retouch on this, running from here, behind this panel which I've removed, and it's running along here. Now what I've done is I've placed some Scarpa tape all along this section to hold this wire safely in place. The reason for that is you've got the seat belt here, so it's really important that you've got no rubbing against the wire, but that's gone through perfectly well, and that's now ready for connecting closer to the carpets and closer to the front. So now that wire's run through this section, we're out of the boot space. So I'm just putting these back. That one slides in. Make sure that you get the clips over the ceiling panel there, but they're all going back in beautifully. It's as if I've never been here. This one is a lift in and pop in. If you remember from before, make sure you line up those pegs. Now, as you've seen with the other ones, you cannot be too dainty. I know your car's precious, but at the end of the day, these Volvos are built pretty well, and they're designed to click back in. But if you don't hit it hard, you don't get a good connection with the clips. That is now sorted. To remove this panel, to pop it off enough from the side of the car so you can run the cable, you need to remove an 8mm bolt just at the back here. So at this stage we're ready for our second extension. Just lining up the arrows on that, and again, belt and braces. I'm just gonna put a bit of electrical tape, well actually that's a rubbish bit, I'm gonna put a bit of electrical tape on there just to make sure it doesn't come undone. So for this section you can see I've removed this seat bolster here. That just sits in behind the seat belt here. And I've also removed this panel up here, which I'm afraid I took off while we didn't have the camera handy, but I will show you the reverse process and teach you how to do that in just a sec. But all I'm doing is taping. I mean, I see here Volvo even use cloth tape. This stuff really does stick forever. So I'm just using this to make sure it's tacked safely out the way, you know, in no kind of wear areas, away from the seating that's going to move, away from any parts that could vibrate, and away from any other cables that could cause interference. I'm just taping it all the way down. There's a little sensor down here, I don't know what that's about, but I'm just going to skirt clear of that using this cloth tape, and then I'm going to hopefully reach carpet level, and then we can make our way towards the front. So again, I've used this tool just to gently flip this up. I'm not going to disconnect it completely. It's just enough. There's a clip on the very far right, and there's 2 clips along the center and a clip on the very far left on this one. So you can just prise your way up all the way along. And again, I'm using the tape to make sure, in fact, you could probably pull this out the way, to make sure that the wire is absolutely clear of any of the clip points, so you don't pierce it putting the panel back into place. There we go. And again, of anything that could interfere with it adversely. Right, before I pop this back on, you can have a very helpful look at it here. See these 2 plugs? You have to push them in from either side. Again, the most used tool I've had today is this one by Amtech on Amazon. That clips in, this one sits in at the bottom, everything else kind of falls into place, but this one is quite a pain. This panel goes in before the seat bolster, as I found out the hard way, and it has to kind of flip in behind the rubber here, so you need to peel the rubber back a bit. In fact, you can just remove the rubber until it's in. Gives you a better view of all the contact points, of which there are several. And then it's in, rubber back on. Now for the seat bolster. Seat bolster goes in with that peg facing down there, that slots in that little hole, can you see that? And then you have to line this one up by tucking it under the seat belt at the top, this flap. And finally that one goes in there, and with a, in it goes. To punch it just there. And that is factory fresh. Now at this stage, the wire's here, and I know in my previous XC60 I paid to have a reversing camera professionally fitted, and on one occasion I saw the wire was just peeking out from here. So obviously all you need to do is push this in again. Our friend, this red tool, look at this, literally just pops in all the way along. Obviously be very careful not to squash the wire, but if you push down, the carpet gives away enough to allow you to pop that in, and we can chase this all the way now to the front panels of the car. So we're out of the boot and we're out of the back seat. So again, I'm still running the cable under these panels all the way along. I could remove this here, I suppose, but I don't think I need to. I'm now only, you know, a metre from where we need to be. I'm going to need one more extension. I'm going to put that in now. So I've now, using this red tool, just run it right the way up here, and I'm at this stage. I'm now using the Scarpa tape again, just to make sure it's pinned and out of harm's way, straight onto the back of the carpet, and I'm going to run it all the way to the centre column. This stuff is absolutely invaluable, this Scarpa tape, because it's the only way you know nothing will move. That stuff does not come off. So you can unhook the carpet here and pull it right back, and you can see I've just taped using the Scarpa tape, brilliant stuff, all the way along. So that is pinned, it's flexible, it's not going to go anywhere, and it's in an area, even if you kicked around up there, you're not going to cause any damage. So now, very simply, we're just going to, using a bit of the Scarpa tape again, we're just going to run the wire across the back of this air unit, under across, and then make the connection to the reversing camera input. Okay, so that's now just run through the back of here. There's loads of space back here, and I'm going to make the connection to the reversing camera, labelled from earlier. Very handy to have everything labelled. Just got to line up the arrows, don't want to mess this one up. There we go. Oh. Whoa. Little bit of tape, and we have a connected reversing camera. We're just going to test that reversing camera, check that everything works, there's no interference with the camera, God forbid there is, and then we'll work on the front camera. Okay, so here we go. The good news is I can hear the radio.
I'm sorry, you have to be anonymous.
So nothing's been too badly broken. It'll just be firing up the sat nav at the moment, unless I press radio, I guess. Oh no. It takes a little while to get going. It says navigation starting up. Right, so pressing and holding. Oh no, I'm going to reverse. Here we go. Watch the screen. And I have their perfect reversing camera. Okay, well, through the magic of editing, you're now going to find out how to install the front camera. Last time we were filming, we'd just finished the reversing camera, and it was already starting to get dark, and well, let's just say that we finished this job last night under light bulbs. It was 12 hours in total, the job, not just for the front camera. That's everything start to finish, but that's because I'm an amateur. So yeah, we're going to save you heaps of time. We ended up removing panels under the wheel arch here. We ended up removing the headlamp. You have to remove the grille anyway. We tried everything to try and find a way of getting a camera wire from the front through the bulkhead and into the engine bay and discreetly round to the grille in the safest possible way. We cracked it in the end, but as I say, it was a long job. So let me save you a whole heap of time. Right, so the first thing I did was remove this headlamp. That's quite easy to do. It's literally, you just pull out these sticks. You've got one there, and there's another one there, and then you just pull that out, the whole headlamp lifts forward. That exposes an area here where you've already got some wiring running there in a conduit which you can actually cable tie onto with the extension wire. You can't see as you look in here. You can come forward, Chris, you can just about see there, that is the wire. Now for this front section, I made sure it was in a braided sleeve the whole time. That protects it, it stops it getting rubbed against anything with vibration, and obviously offers a degree of heat protection as well. That tucks right out the way, doesn't look at all out of place in the engine bay, looks totally factory fitted. To get from the passenger side through the bulkhead and into the engine bay, you need to remove this entire panel. So you've got these rivets here, they're two-part rivets. This central circular section, you prise that up with a screwdriver, lift it out, and then the second part comes out. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, plus you've got 2 along the middle here. Once you remove that, you then need to remove the windscreen wipers. You need a 15mm spanner. Remove these top caps. Again, they just come off with a screwdriver or the Volvo tool. And then you can just lift off the windscreen wipers. A little knack with them, rather than trying to pull straight out, if you rock this forward at an angle very slightly, they just pop off really easily. So then you've got the windscreen wipers off. This whole section then lifts off really easily. These little rubber extension here unclip either side, and that will expose a void beneath this plastic panel where you've got the battery here, and just about here, I suppose 30-40 centimeters beneath my fingertip, you will find this huge rubber grommet which has got a huge trunk of wires going into the main cabin. Now what I did was, rather than trying to chase wires through that same channel, I drilled a tiny little hole in the top of that rubber grommet, and then I was able to feed a long piece of wire through with a softened bent end, so I wasn't going to damage anything. And very gently, just kind of tapping, I fed that wire through, and with Chris's help we picked it up in the footwell of the passenger side. So hole in the grommet, poke a wire through very gently, don't force anything because there's a lot of wires in that area, and eventually you'll make contact. You can pull a bit of string back through, or indeed we actually just pulled the camera extension back through. Then we had it here, we had made the connection at the gearbox tunnel inside the car, brought the wire up through that conduit that I talked about, and then making sure that it was covered with that protective sleeving, ran the wire beneath this cover, obviously, along here, brought it along here. You can just about see, if you can get the camera in there, you can see as it comes through. And then so it runs through there, right underneath this bank of fuses here, through here, and then it picks up this this plastic pipe with other wires in it behind the headlamp. And of course, with the headlamp removed, this is very accessible. We then just ran this through here, making sure it was regularly cable tied off to make sure it can't go anywhere, and then we ran it into the front of the grille. Now the camera, mounting the camera itself, come down here and look here. This is the camera. This is the best place. This is where Volvo install them, and it's right within the emblem, so it's very discreet. And the way to fit it is you take the grille off with it upside down on a pile of towels or a cotton blanket, so it's well protected. Use one of those vibrating saws. I don't know if you know the things I mean. They're made by Bosch, and they have like a vibrating blade that comes forward. It's like a plunge saw, so you can literally, with it upside down, you can plunge down and dig a 9mm channel from the back of this plastic right to the front. And then you can simply slide the camera into position, tighten it up with the bolt, and that is absolutely rock solid now. Not only is that protected from rain, etc., being tucked under there, but I think it's just a great place. And when you'll see in a minute, I'll show you inside, when you're driving and parking, it gives you a really lovely line of vision for parking. You can get, you know, millimeters from a car in front without hitting. It's absolutely superb. It makes a massive difference to this car. It was worth the 12 hours. So that's what we're doing here. Sorry for the huge explanation. I would love to have taken you through it step by step, but I think that's given you the gist of it. Obviously, you know, inside, we showed earlier in the video, you pick up the power, etc. So the front camera is on switched power in this case, and then it's just that single extension lead that you're running to the front with the 4-pin connection. And that's how it's done. Right, let me take you inside and show you how it works. So this is how it works when it's installed. All our panels are back on, feels just like a normal car again. Just turn it on. Now, it takes a few seconds for it to warm up the first time when you start it, but now obviously I've started the car a few times, everything's up together. It's really simple. If I want to switch to the front camera, I just press and hold the nav button on my dashboard, and there we go. So as you can see at the very bottom there, I'm getting like a distorted view of the bottom of the emblem, which actually through testing, if you allow, you know, literally a few mil, half a centimetre in front of that silver bar when you're parking, you can even drive with it on, it will actually give you the perfect parking control. Now if I slip into reverse now, as if by magic, not only have I got these amazing steering lines, I've also got rear radar in here, but look how close. I could never do this before. I know I can go that close now, and I'm all good. And you can leave this on all the time, or you just press and hold the nav button, and you're straight back into the sensor system. I mean, honestly, it's as good as it gets. It really is very good. I know if you have the Volvo solution, which is literally 5 times the price if you have it fitted, you will get a button with cam written on it. That is the only difference. All of the information being sent by the steering wheel, as you can see as I turn the steering wheel, it gives me a really useful guide. Those lines bend, so as I go back it's showing me exactly where I'm going to go, and it works brilliantly. All of a sudden I can park this car anywhere.